All right. Did you attend Prosper Show in 2022 or you kind of wish that you had? Either way, I'm going to give you my thoughts on it. My name is Kevin Sanderson from Maximizing E-commerce, and I help people build e-commerce businesses that they can be proud of. And I was both an attendee of Prosper Show as well as a speaker. I moderated one of the panels there about international selling. So I'm just going to give you my perspective as someone who attended, someone who spoke, and someone who also in a former lifetime used to work in the convention and event business, and actually now I even hold frequently virtual events as well. So I have I have a unique background and take on this. So most of this is not going to be about like the convention itself and how to put together a convention, but kind of just my thoughts of what I've learned looking back on this. So as we record this, it's probably 3.5-ish weeks, almost 4 weeks. I believe, since Prosper ended. And so, what I wanted to do is just really take this opportunity to talk about the show itself and what I think is impactful and good to know that will help you no matter where you are in your journey. So, a couple things to start off with. First off, I just want to say kudos to the event planner, Brian, and the team over there at Emerald X. Most people have no concept of how hard it is to put together an event. Um, there's so many moving pieces and so many little things that could go wrong along the way. So many people that it takes to make these things happen. The venue, uh, the exhibitor services team, all the teams at all the places, the airline. When I say all the teams at all the places, all the exhibitors who are bringing people there, all their teams to make that their particular booth happen. All the speakers, all the attendees, all the cooks in the kitchen, the people at the front desk. I mean, there's just a lot of people involved to make it happen. So, want to just give kudos to everyone on that. Just start off with this is intended to be a positive thing. So, but my overall thoughts here is first off, networking is going to be more and more important. I think networking has always been important, but the more you can get around other people that are doing the things that you want to do, the better off you're going to be. And so, one of the things I thought Prosper does really well, I'm trying to think how to word this, is that because it is such a large show, there's a lot of people. Now, one of the challenges sometimes with large shows is that uh, unless you have a core group of people, I could see for someone coming into that doesn't know anyone, this could be a hard show to get to know other sellers unless you're, very uh, gregarious and very extroverted. But if you're not, this could be a harder show. You might want to maybe start off with a smaller show. And then oftentimes the people you meet at smaller shows would oftentimes go to something like this. And so sometimes you just feel like you got more of an avenue. Try to attend if you've not gone to a show like this. Try to just show up and just start talking to people. You'd be amazed. Most people want to talk to you. As nervous as sometimes some people are, everyone else is probably even more nervous than they are, and wants to, hoping that you will be the person that makes the first move and comes up and starts a conversation. So just keep that in mind. Um, but the nice thing is when you go to shows, yes, as a speaker, I think we gave a great talk on international selling, but I would say that the real value of going to conferences like Prosper is getting to have that interaction one-on-one with other people. Or if there's, let's say software tools or services you're interested in, getting to actually talk to the people face to face in the exhibit hall booth. So just more that you can do with networking, I think is going to be more and more important. So as this, which gets into my next point, this market that we're in of selling on Amazon, I think is really maturing and growing. And so as the market matures and grows, I think the value of relationships is going to become more and more important. And so when I talk about the maturing of the market, so when I first got into selling on Amazon in, let's call it 2015, it felt more of kind of like a mom and pop type world, bootstrap from your garage. I'm recording from my garage. Uh, so maybe I still live in that world. Maybe a lot of us do. But the thing I would say is we're starting to see a lot more consolidation, a lot more companies are buying other companies, not just, we hear about aggregators buying brands, but some aggregators even buying other aggregators. We're seeing almost like aggregators of agencies and service providers and software tools like there was a company, I believe the name was Carbon 6. If I said it wrong, I apologize, but uh, this company must be like an aggregator for software tools, because there were several tools they had that I didn't know were all under the umbrella of one company. Um, and so it was like Seller Tools, um, Perpetua, Pixel Me, and another one or two that I think they owned, which was interesting. So we're seeing software tools being bought out by larger companies that have software tools. So there's a lot of money coming into the space. Um, and so I think it's just important to, as the market matures, and some of the maturing of the market is just the exhibit hall booths. This is my first time actually going to a Prosper show, so I don't totally know what the exhibit hall booths look like, but I've been to other shows and I've seen pictures from the past and just conversations that I've had with people. Um, when you start getting larger booths, so in exhibit hall world, it's normally 10 by 10 space on a floor. And so you think of blocks of, you know, a 20 by 20 booth, for example, would actually be 4 10 by 10. So two booths by two booths. So it's like four spaces. And there was a lot of 20 by 20 type booths, a lot of larger than 10 by 10 booths, and not just bigger, but like they've put a lot of money into their presence and things like that. So that usually signals that the market is maturing. And so Amazon is in a much different spot than it was 5 6 years ago. The Amazon seller community is a much bigger spot. So there's, I think, a lot of, as there's getting to be this, consolidation and growing, there's getting to be, I think, a sense that, like maybe the range of sellers might have been like just starting out to like 1 million. And, maybe you hear about a couple 8-figure sellers. Nowadays you start hearing about like things like 9-figure sellers, and, way more 8-figure sellers, and way more multiple 8-figure sellers, and, you know, 7-figure sellers. Almost seems like that's just the starting point, although not everyone is a 7-figure seller. I myself have done over 7 figures, but not in a year yet. That's on my bucket list. However, I will say this, getting into my next point, you really got to evaluate what your best move is. And so now that the market is maturing and the seller community is getting bigger and better, there's more levers you can pull to grow your business. The hard part is, I was thinking about this. So if you're someone just starting out, or if let's say you're a year or two into it and you're growing, what do you focus your attention on? And so this is a question I was really thinking a lot about. So uh, if you can relate to this, I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comment section down below. As the community grows and things, I'm trying to think of the word comparison, as you're comparing yourself. So, there's that old saying in the entrepreneurship world, if you're at chapter 3, don't compare yourself to someone that's at chapter 30. I think we've gone from a book that maybe had like 40 chapters to a book that maybe is like Encyclopedia Britannica, multi, uh, multi, what's the word I'm looking for? Multi book edition, multi, there's a lot more places you can go. And so oftentimes we can be comparing ourselves. You could be at chapter 48 and you're comparing yourself to someone who's at chapter 730. It seems like there's just so many more steps along the way, just because I think that there's people that have been doing it longer nowadays, and there's more money in the space. There's more investments being made. And so one of the things to think in mind is, who are you taking your advice from? And so I think it's good to get a good range of information from different people, but try to figure out what is going to be your next best move, whether it's international, working on influencer marketing, or going into Walmart, or pick your Google ads, or, Pinterest traffic, or whatever. There's just, again, so many more things you could be doing. And I think we oftentimes have this guilt of feeling like we should be doing more. But this age old question of what is your next best move is, sometimes we got to evaluate where's the information we're getting and who's saying it. So, just in full disclosure, we all have our own biases. I have services that help people expand into international marketplaces. So, yes, I am biased on, I think people should go into international markets. Now, I have a business myself on Amazon, and I find that it has been my best growth opportunity. And I've seen it with other people too. So my bias comes from there. So fully transparent about where my biases are. A lot of times we hear someone say, "Oh, you should be doing this tactic." Well, maybe they're trying to attract people that are at, 7 or $8 million a year in sales to 20 million. And maybe that's like kind of their sweet spot of what they're really going for. So they're saying all these things that are factually correct and are genuinely helpful, um, in pursuing the person that can do that, maybe has a team, maybe can afford a agency who would provide an entire team of people servicing their account. And so think about yourself and where you're at, and the people that are giving your advice, where are they at and who are they trying to help along the way. And so that sometimes gives you a clear picture, because we all have to make that decision of evaluate your next best move. What is that next best move for you? And that goes the other direction too. You could be listening to someone who's, their content is great, and it's, how to launch a product on Amazon for the first time, how to pick your first product, those type of things. And if that's where you're at, that's awesome. But if you're, if their stuff is about chapter 1 through 5 and you're at chapter 37, you probably don't want to spend a lot of time on that, unless you need to go back and revisit because you're going to launch a new product and there's something that they're explaining that would be helpful for you. So hopefully that makes sense, because I've been thinking a lot about this concept. And this is not, again, not a knock on Prosper. And I know I'm kind of going off the walls of really talking about the Prosper show itself, but really what it comes down to is there are so many levers you can pull in this business, and the number of levers, it feels like it's almost exponential. All the more reports that you're getting that are helpful, they can give you a lot more insight into things, but you have to decide where you put your focus. So the better you can decide where you put your focus, the more success that you're going to have long term. And so when you go to shows like this and you get all excited about, I should be doing this and doing this and doing this, what is the one thing that you could do? And this isn't just Prosper, this is any show you go to, or even if you attend one of my virtual summits. Um, what is that one thing, if I implement it, it will give me the best return of results, or the best return of results for the time and effort invested, not just the money. Because if you invest money, you can always find more money one way, shape, or form, but time you can never get back. And so, like right now, you've been watching this probably for around 12 minutes. That's time. Hopefully, this has been valuable, at least giving you some things to think about, but you'll never get those 12 minutes back. And so, and hopefully that's in a positive way. But when you're deciding where to put your time and your focus, what are those things that you're going to do that will get you to that next spot? And so if you're trying to go from chapter 13, or sorry, if we're trying to go from chapter 16 to chapter 17, there are some nuances to chapter 13. So if you're trying to go from one chapter to the next chapter, or if you have aspirations of going from chapter 20 to 25, don't get too wrapped up in what are the things that are going to take someone from chapter 300 to chapter 310. Hopefully that makes sense. And so what are going to give you those best results for where you're at? So anyway, that's my thoughts. If you found this video to be helpful, please consider liking the video. Also, again, love to hear your thoughts down below in the comments, and consider subscribing to this channel. Wish you the best in your e-commerce journey. Take care.